Welcome to the third installment of the Elemental Control build that I've been making for Amara ever since the games came out. The reason I keep making this build video is honestly just because it keeps getting better and better and better. And I just don't want to change the name. I could probably change to something like Elemental Destroy or just literally anything. But I want to just keep it the same way as I've had it ever since the game came out. And that's how it was originally called, the Elemental Control build. But yeah, as I keep playing the game, I just keep getting better gear for it. And it just makes this build even better. And I think this is probably as good as it's going to get. Unless some new gear comes out with the Molly One Takedown that's going to be coming out later this month. But as of right now, this is it. This is, I think, the build I was going for ever since the game had released. This is what I imagined Mara being like, and let me tell you, it is very, very good. Starting off with the weapons, I have a Maggie right here that is anointed on axe skill, and the next two magazines will have 50% additional shock damage. This is very, very good. The Maggie already is a great pistol, so this just makes it do 50% bonus shock damage, which is obviously going to get buffed by our other skills, and it's just going to make this gun insane. Next, I have a Brainstormer, and on axe skill, and the next two magazines will have additional incendiary damage. The Brainstormer already is very good at clearing, especially on Amara, and then you add more like incendiary damage, it's just nuts. This thing is just crazy. Next, I have a Lyuda, and I finally have another one that's not the 125% more damage after axe skill pop. I actually have a Phase Slam anoint one now, where my weapon damage is increased by 300%, and this thing is just dumb. Like, I've seen so many people use this, and I finally have one. Like, it's, yo, it's so good. The final weapon I have is the Hazardous Sellout, just to apply the dot to me to make my Elemental Projector do more damage. I don't really need another weapon, so I just keep it in here, just in case I ever need it. So for the shield now, I actually have a Transformer anointed, and on axe skill in, I get 20% more cooldown rate. I don't have to use the rerouter anymore. The Transformer is also very good because it converts 100% into shock damage into shields, so that just basically negates one element for you. And you have a 40% chance to absorb bullets, so that also negates almost half the damage because you're just absorbing the bullets. So this is a very tanky shield, plus it already has a lot of capacity. So this actually makes you really, really, really tanky on Amara, and that's really good. So for the grenade, I have a recurring hex that does shock damage. This just has on active skill start, you generate one grenade, very good anoint. I'm literally just using this, I guess, to help strip shields out, do a little more dot damage, just to apply on a dot that can keep some of my stacks up. But for the most part, I just like this grenade, and now that I have one with the anoint on it, regen my grenade, it's very fun. Now, this is where the bread and butter is at. I actually got a Phase Lurker class mod that has +5 to Anima. This is very, very good. Very good. Not only that, I have plus 25% weapon damage, plus 31% shotgun damage, and 31% axe skill cooldown rate. So, weapon damage and shotgun damage is buffing the Brainstormer, and then the cooldown rate is going to let me pop my axe skill even more often, which is also getting buffed by this, which I get 20% more cooldown rate. This class right here is, I feel like, one of the best class mods you can get. You maybe could replace shotgun damage with something else if you're not trying to run the shotgun, but being that I'm using a shotgun, it's really good. I feel like weapon damage is probably what you want, and axe skill cooldown rate is definitely what you want. Then finally, I have the Snowdrift artifact just to get bonus slide speed. This is just for generally just fun play. I get 40% more magazine and 20% more axe skill cooldown rate, 30% shield recharge rate, which goes really well with the Transformer because I just have a shield up a lot. Now for boss damage, I switch to the Elemental Projector over here and apply the dot to myself with the Sellout, and I use something like the Lyuda, and I do a ton of boss damage. Alright, so going into the skills real quick. I'm putting 5 points to Anima. That's getting buffed by class mod, going to 10. So I'm getting more status effect damage, status effect duration, and more damage based on my action skill element, which is going to be fire, which is very good. I'm taking infusion to convert 40% of my damage into my action skill element, so fire. So that means my Brainstormer and Maggie is going to be doing additional fire damage, which is getting buffed by Anima. And they're also doing their additional magazine elemental damage, which is going to be getting buffed by Tempest. So I'm getting 30% more elemental damage and 20% more shock damage. I got 5 points in this. So all these 3 skills together are buffing each other, and you're just doing an insane amount of elemental damage, especially with the Brainstormer. The mag can also be in it. I'm doing shock and incendiary with it. It's just crazy. So the next skill I'm taking is Dread. So every time I phase lock an enemy, I get 50% more gun damage, and my gun is automatically reloaded. Just a very, very good skill to have. Next skill I'm taking is Deep Well, which is giving me 20% more magazine size for my elemental weapons. So my Brainstormer is getting even more ammo now, which is just very, very good. I'm only taking the skill for the Brainstormer. That's literally the only reason the Maggie, nor that my Lyuda has elemental damage on it. So the next skill I'm taking is Indiscriminate to get my bullets to ricochet. And my Maggie already ricochets if I get a critical hit, but it just makes it even better because it shoots like a shotgun basically. So if I don't hit all crits, those bullets can also ricochet to other people, spreading elements around. This is a very, very good skill. Next skill I'm taking Sustainment, probably one of her best skills in the skill tree. So when you do elemental damage with your gun, you're getting 20% of that damage back as health. So with the Brainstormer and 5 points in this, you just always have health. Like, you are so tanky because the Brainstormer, there's chains to everybody, and every single chain is healing you. If you're ever low on health, swap to your Brainstormer and you just regen to max with like 1, maybe 2 shots. Last I'm taking is Forceful Expression. This is just giving me 18% bonus damage to all my guns based on my action skill element. So it's not taking anything away. I just get 18% more incendiary damage with whatever gun I'm using, which is very good. Next skill tree is the Mystical Assault skill tree. I'm putting 3 points in Fast Hands to make my reload speed even faster. Weapon swap speed, mostly speed. Mostly speed really doesn't matter unless I'm changing the dot to corrosive on my hazardous sellout. That's literally the only reason, but I want the reload speed and weapon swap speed. Have 1 point Do Harm, 3 points of Violent Tapestry to get the elemental effect chance up, because I want to be applying the dot as much as I can, do a lot of damage with Anima. Next skill is Restless, 25% more cooldown rate, very good. This is going to buff with all my other cooldown rate skills. Transcend, 38% more accuracy, 27% more critical hit damage every time I pop my action skill. Another very good skill if you're just using phase lock, because they're going to be sitting still. You can just mow down on an enemy and doing the same amount of damage. Next skill is Ascendant to make all my action skill augments have increased effect. So the augment we're taking is Stillness Mon. So every time we phase grasp our enemy, everything around it is going to be locked together, and we're using ties that bind to chain link to those enemies. And so every enemy is going to be locked in the air, they're going to be chained together, and you're going to be spreading damage, and they just can't move. So the next skill after that is Wrath. So every time we pop our action skill, we get 20% more gun damage, and we also just get a general 20% more gun damage. So this is another one of her best skills. And finally, in the Brawl skill tree, we have 3 in Personal Space, do 36% more damage the closer we are to an enemy, and we're using a shotgun, so we're going to be very close. So as you can see with this build, everything just works together. All the skills, all the weapons, all the gear, like everything just works together so well. And you just straight up melt everything. I've gotten modifiers in Mayhem where they're resistant to some elements, and I still just straight up melt things with this build. This build's very good for ad clearing. It's insanely good for ad clearing. It's very good for boss damage as well with the Lyuda. So you're using a base Lyuda, but you're also using a hazardous sellout and a elemental projector artifact to buff your elemental damage. But the reason it's a base Lyuda is because you're using infusion and forceful expression to get elemental damage on that Lyuda, the base Lyuda. And with the base Lyuda and that, you just straight up melt enemies. Like I've killed Grave Ward in like literally like 1 second, I think. Like, it is absurd how much damage you can do with this build. And also with this build, since you have the really good Transformer shield, and then plus you have Sustainment to get your health up, you're very tanky with this build. You rarely ever go down. I think I did Slaughterhouse one time and maybe went down like 2 to 3 times at most, but I never actually like completely died. It's just I immediately get back up. But yeah, I mostly just get down to just like random stuff like a barrel exploding maybe. Like it's not actually because I'm not tanky. It's just random stuff that just happens and you just immediately die. But then I immediately get back up. This build is very good. This is definitely what I envisioned Amara being before the game came out and what I was trying to build around in my early videos. But yeah, if you're looking for a build that can ad clear very good, do boss damage, just you feel very confident when you're going into areas, this is definitely the build for you. There's not much that can destroy this build. But yeah, overall, this build to me is definitely my favorite build in the game. I have so much fun playing with this build. I really hope you guys try it out. If you do, leave a comment, tell me how it goes. I really hope you can get some of this anointed gear too, because it is insane what these anoints can do. I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Thanks for all the recent support on the channel. It's been crazy. And I'll see you in the next one.